Well, hi, everyone. I'm SEU President Ken Engel. You're watching SEU Now, our weekly update show. We keep you informed and educated on everything happening right now at SEU. Normally have my co-anchor with us as well, but she is on the road, Dr. Bethany Thomas, but we have somebody to come in and help with this podcast today, and that is our Director of Fire Athletics, Drew Watson. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you. Got big shoes to fill here
That's
with Bethany
right.
Thomas. She does a great job here, so thanks for having me.
You're going to do great, and we're glad to have you here. We have a very special episode planned for today. We're going to be talking about our newest athletic program, our 20th athletic program, bass fishing. And we're going to be launching that this fall, and here to lead us in the discussion will be our brand new head coach, Weston Marsh. Drew and Weston, you'll be sharing a little bit about what's going on with this brand new program. So thank you again for being a part of today's show.
No, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Privileged to have you. And before we get started, I want to fill you in on the top 3 things that you need to know this week at Southeastern University. I mean, we have lots of things going on, but, we can only pick 3 right now. So here's the first one. This Friday, March 24th, our student-led improv team, Unplanned Improv, will be holding shows at 7:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. in the Buena Vita West Auditorium. Set to be a great night, a fun night. Don't miss out. Secondly, our men's and women's track and field teams will be at the UCF Nights Invitational this Friday and Saturday, March 24th and 25th in Orlando. Both teams have been absolutely crushing it this season, so we know they'll continue to do that. Go Fire for that big event on the 24th and 25th. And then on Monday, April 3rd, the School of Music will be putting on a choral concert at 7:30 p.m. at First Presbyterian Church right here in Lakeland. You don't want to miss that event as well. Lots of things going on. Hard to believe that just in a few short weeks we're going to be having graduation. The year always flies by.
Sure does.
It does.
Especially with athletics as well. Well, I want to kick off this segment. We'll start, Drew. Kind of tell us a little bit about the idea of introducing a bass fishing program here at Southeastern University. What does it mean for our athletics department?
Well, bass fishing is one of the quickest growing intercollegiate sports in the country. In the seat that I sit in, I get emails all the time from people who are requesting that we start certain sports. And some of them are practical and some of them are not. But bass fishing, most of my answer for those other sports is we just don't have the facilities right now. There are lakes all over this area. I don't know if you've noticed that.
A few.
But
Lake land.
Yes. So, it's exciting to bring one of the quickest growing sports in the country here to Southeastern, and to have the lakes to do it on. I mean, we don't have to go very far, as we were just saying. But what it means for our department is it just expands our offerings. And so we are now able to reach more students with bass fishing than we were before we had bass fishing. So we're excited about what that new demographic brings to us.
Tell us a little bit about what made it possible for us to launch this program.
Well, we have generous donors, and we've got some people who are really passionate about fishing.
Yep.
Mark Overstreet, Pete Francis, George Karup, just who have put their finances behind this effort. And we could not have done it without them. So, we've got a grade A boat and a truck, and it's just thanks to the donors, those guys 100%. I just mentioned and more, who have provided that for us.
For sure.
Stepped up to the plate and want to make this program a great success. So we're excited for their investment in this program. Weston, tell us a little bit about yourself. What does your history and experience with bass fishing look like? And you, of course, you're a grad of Southeastern University.
Yeah, I'm alumni from Southeastern, which is a huge plus. It's just an honor and a privilege to be able to come back to a university that made such a huge change and impact in my personal life and my experience here. And then to be able to come back and do the same thing and coach at the university is it's a humbling yet honoring experience. But leading up to this point, I didn't really start tournament fishing until actually when I was here at SEU. I didn't have a boat. I had plenty of gear, but didn't have a boat, which was great because on a lot of tournaments you can entry in as a non-boater and just fish on the back of somebody else's boat. And that was kind of my introduction to tournament fishing. I've been bass fishing my entire life since I could hold a rod in my hand, but as far as tournament fishing was concerned, Southeastern also kind of helped push that along for me as well. And then just, got my first boat after I graduated from Southeastern, after I left Southeastern. and kind of ran with it from there and just kind of dove further into it, and it became a very strong passion of mine once I started tournament fishing. Fast forward to now, here we are and have the opportunity to come back and coach at the college level.
Yeah. Now, how have you been preparing for the fall? Because that's when you're going to start competition. You know, you got to get the team in place and all that. How have you been preparing for it?
Sure. So we've been working really, really hard on not only obviously generating a roster, but working on obtaining sponsorships, as we kind of discussed earlier.
Yeah.
We've had some really great donors come to the table to come alongside the team and provide the opportunity for us to compete at a successful level. But we've worked as an athletic program too to really search out outdoor companies that will come alongside of us, whether that's lures, tackle. We even have some monetary sponsors that are coming alongside the program that are just excited to see a new program like Southeastern's fishing team just kind of hit the road and really do well and be successful on the road. So it's kind of been some new waters to navigate, no pun intended. But we're working really hard, and the team that we're putting together, I have no doubt, they're great guys. They're like-minded guys that just love the Lord and are great anglers as well. So I think the Lord's really kind of putting us in a really great spot to do some really great things here over the next couple of years.
Now, if I could ask, you know, there's going to be people listening to this that are current students, and they're probably going, "Hey, I want to fish." Where's your focus right now? Is it new students, or is it you know, kind of a mix, or is it just on campus?
Yeah, our main focus right now is new students. That's kind of where we're landing the plane right now. With it being a new program, we want as many new faces coming in as we possibly can. And honestly, you know, there's the kids that we're recruiting right now are guys that have been fishing, and gals that have been fishing since they were in middle school. You know, they've been competing at a tournament level, you know, for many, many, many years. And honestly, a lot of the consensus, I've already got a lot of conversations with on-campus students, current students. Hey, love to fish. How do I get on the team? And my first question is always this: you know, how many tournaments have you fished over the last year? And the general consensus is I've actually never tournament fished before. And the reality of it is kind of like asking the baseball coach, hey, I'd like to play baseball, but I've never actually played a baseball game before.
Right.
So just to kind of put that in perspective, and I don't say that to discourage anybody, but that's just the caliber of students that we're looking for and that we're bringing in.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what leagues or tournaments will our bass fishing team be competing in, and how do those tournaments work, and you know, where will they travel, those kinds of things?
Sure. So we'll compete in. I'll refer to these tournaments as circuits.
Okay.
So we'll compete in 3 different circuits. There's an organization called BASS, B-A-S-S. There's another organization called MLF, which stands for Major League Fishing, and then there's actually a collegiate fishing organization as well. We'll compete in all 3 of those. They all have collegiate series. And those will take us as far west as Texas and as far north as Michigan.
Wow.
And so, believe it or not, even though Southeastern's located in probably the best bass fishing state in the country, in my opinion, we'll only fish probably 2 tournaments a year in the state of Florida. The rest of them will kind of be spread out across the country, which is great because it puts us in a really good spot to compete on new water that guys that are coming from the state have never fished before, and it keeps us fresh and it keeps us competitive.
Yeah, and how does the tournament? So is it the biggest bass that the team can, or how many you can? I mean, what is the?
So the tournament dynamic is, we'll send most events. They'll send north of 200 boats out per event, so it's not a small ordeal. 2 guys per boat equal 1 team. Okay. And so schools will send multiple teams to an event. And it's kind of like golf. You know, Southeastern will send multiple teams to an event, but those teams will be competing against each other in that event. And it's the 5 heaviest fish. You keep 5 fish throughout the day in a live well on the boat. You bring those fish back to the scales. They weigh those on a stage, and then those fish immediately get released back into the water after they've been weighed. Most of the tournaments are what they call 2-day events, so it's collective weight over 2 days. So if you have a really bad day the first day, not the end of the world, you can get back out there and try to put it back together for the second day.
So there's no fish fry.
There's no fish fry. No, that is, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, though, like if you got let's say you send out 250 boats for an event, and each team can keep 5 fish. That's a lot of fish. Yeah. You better have quite a few people who's ready to eat. Yeah.
That's Drew. Drew, let me ask you this: how many other schools in our area offer this type of program?
Well, there's not many here in the area. Weber does. Weber's had a team for years, and they're pretty good. And so like happened when we started football 10 years ago. Weber had it. Warner had started it later, but we're looking to get into the market, and hopefully a lot of the kids are looking to go to Weber as their only option. We'll start to look at Southeastern because of how we do things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many members of the team will you field?
Yeah, so we're shooting for a roster of 10 for our first going into August. Yep.
And what does practice consist of? Just go out and fish?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. How do you practice fishing? And honestly, with, like I said before, with 90% of our tournaments being outside of the state, it doesn't really do us any good to go practice on a local lake for a tournament in Texas. Yeah. Now, guys can, on their off time and stuff, if they got their own boat here, if they want to continue to hone their own personal skill, by all means, go have at it here locally. But these tournament circuits open up a window prior to tournament day for guys to get out on that body of water and practice in the actual elements. So our practice, so to speak, would be 2 to 3 days prior to an event on that body of water, so the guys can get familiar, locate fish, and kind of put a strategy together prior to that event.
Great. Last question. What are your goals for this first season? Is there anything specifically you're hoping to accomplish? I mean, what's going to be the measure here?
Sure. Yeah, well, obviously to do well competing, wins are huge. But one thing I love about Southeastern athletics is winning is not everything. And that's what I'm most excited about. I had some really key players that are still here at the university that just took the time to pour into my life while they were here, and it really shaped me into who I am now. And so looking at that from the aspect of now I have the opportunity to kind of do the same for these guys who are coming in and fishing, not only hone their skill on the water, but hone their skill as a person and help them, become a man. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of one of my biggest goals is, if anything, if these guys or gals can leave Southeastern with their fishing experience and their collegiate experience and walk away and say, I'm not the same person that I was when I came in a good way. Their relationship with the Lord is strengthened, who they are as a person, their confidence on the water and off the water, and relationship with friends. I still have a ton of friends that I went to school here with that we keep in touch. And so, in a nutshell, yeah, that's kind of, I would like them to walk away with saying, man, that played a huge role in who I am today and will continue to play a role in who I am today, whether that's as an angler or as an individual.
That's great. That's great. Drew, do you have any final question you want to ask or comment?
It's not a question. It's just that, you talked about practice, but it's also recruiting.
Yes.
Okay, so recruiting means student comes to campus and they get in the truck and they go out fishing. Okay, so we have a number of coaches of other sports who would love to help Weston recruit. Because it just looks different. If you're basketball recruiting, you go sitting in a smelly gym for 6 hours looking at AU.
That's true.
You just get to go out on the water. So
and enjoy the sunshine.
It's a good gig.
It is. Yeah, it comes with many perks. That is for sure. Yeah.
And will you fish any of these lakes right here by our campus at all? Or?
Yeah, I fish them every so often. Just like I said, kind of honing my own personal skill and testing out some new equipment and that kind of stuff. When we fish locally at the tournament, college level, there'll be 3 main players. It'll be Harris Chain, which is up towards Leesburg, Kissimmee Chain, which is there just south of Orlando, and then Lake Okeechobee, down in Okeechobee or Lewiston, which is great because, those are probably some of the best fisheries in the country, and they're all within a 2-hour driving distance of campus. So it's a great selling point for me when I'm recruiting,
Sure.
Because those are lakes that guys travel many, many hours to come just experience, to be able to fish, and to have those in our backyard is just a true blessing.
Yeah, so good. I want to thank both of you for joining us today on SEU Now. Drew for sitting in and helping out while Bethany is out, and of course Weston, our brand new coach here, for our great bass fishing team. Thank you for your time today and sharing with us all about the program. So awesome to hear from you, and absolutely excited about how this inaugural season is going to go.
Sure.
As we start this fall, I'll be cheering you on, and hopefully we'll capture some championships.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As usual, keep up with the latest SEU news and updates online. Follow us on social media at SEU University and at Kent_Ingold. Hope you all have an amazing week. We look forward to connecting with you again on SEU Now.